Welcome back, everyone. Well, it's been 2 weeks since I set up my little wormery to investigate Charles Darwin's work studying earthworms and the production of soil. And as you can see, it's changed quite a lot. If you remember, I put lots of leaves at the top, and these have all been pulled down into a network of tunnels that the earthworms have been produced. If you look really carefully by rotating the wormery, you'll see there are literally hundreds of tunnels all the way through this soil. The earthworms have made this lattice, this network of different tunnels through which they've pulled down the leaf litter. They seem to have pulled down the grass the most. There's grass all the way down to the bottom of the wormery. And they are starting to pull down some of the larger leaves. I guess maybe they're a little bit too big to handle. I've definitely noticed that the worms seem to be most active at night. During the day, they seem to congregate right down at the bottom, where I guess it's completely sheltered from any bright conditions. But in the morning, before the light gets really strong, they can often be seen around the edges of the pot in all this different network of tunnels. Presumably the tunnels go right the way through the wormery, so it's amazing to think how many holes and how much air the worms have created within the soil. What impact do you think the actions of the earthworms have upon the soil? In particular, what about all those passages, those holes, that network, and all the air that they get into the soil? And of course, the vegetable leaf litter that they pull underground. What does that do to the soil, or the nutrients that are held within the soil? Well, luckily, Charles Darwin's book holds the answer. In the last few years of Darwin's life, he studied earthworms meticulously. In the grand scheme of things, this might not seem like a big scientific question, especially after the publication of so many important theories that changed the world over the course of his life. But actually, many people say this was one of his most important discoveries of all. Darwin realized that the action of the humble earthworm underpins so much life on the surface of our world, including pretty much all of the crops that we eat. This is because the nutrients that the earthworms cycle into the soil through their action of pulling leaf litter down underground is absolutely essential as part of the nutrient cycle. This causes the soil to be much more fertile than it naturally would be. And the fact that they produce so many of these little tunnels and chambers underground aerates the soil, prevents it from stagnating, and it also ensures that there's enough air underground to enable the roots of plants to grow healthily and have gas exchange, which is absolutely essential to the function of the roots of many plants. Without the humble earthworm, the soils of the world would be nowhere near as nutrient-rich and fertile as they are today. And without that fertility, our crops wouldn't produce anywhere near as much food as they do today, so we wouldn't have as much to eat. It's really humbling to think of the significance of little earthworms acting silently and invisibly all around us in the soil underneath our feet, and the impact that has on the lives of billions of people right the way around the world, let alone the rest of the animals of the planet and the entire ecosystem. It's also really humbling to think that this is how Charles Darwin, this great man of science, spent the last few years of his life studying such a fascinating subject as the activity of the earthworm and its impact on the soils of the world. You can keep your wormery going for as long as you wish. Just make sure that the soil doesn't dry out, and keep adding a fresh supply of leaf litter to the top so your earthworms don't get hungry and stay happy and healthy. When you're done, you can open the top of your wormery and release your worms back out into the wild so they can spend the rest of their days producing soil for the benefit of the wider ecosystem. I really hope you enjoyed setting up your wormery and studying earthworms and their impact on soil. I'd love to see any photos or videos of your experiment. Do send in any to classroom@darwin200.com. Thanks for taking part in this experiment, and see you again next time.